Hi, I'm Andrew Spieler.
And I'm Mary Hope Rennie.
And you're watching or listening to Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate. Welcome, everybody, to Behind the Sign, Season 2, Episode 2. We're here with Bobbie Gaudette.
Thank you for coming, Bobbie.
How you doing, Bobbie?
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm very excited.
I'm so excited you're here. Just as a precursor, we've been talking about, the most random topics you can imagine.
We've been here for about an hour.
For the last half hour or so, yeah.
And I almost think that our viewer audience might find all of that way even more fascinating.
I'm wildly entertained, so I can't imagine that they wouldn't be.
Yeah. Everything from car problems to Dubai we've covered, so and everything in between.
Fixing all the world's problems in between. So
exactly. Yeah.
Thanks, Bobbie. We also had talked about having just our own podcast, the three of us, because we have so much to talk about.
There's a contest in this.
Okay.
So we have three of us, and we were thinking about the name that would incorporate number 3.
Yes.
So let's put it out there to the audience.
Oh, that would be.
Okay.
Yes. Come up with the best name.
Yep.
We might be sorry.
MBA, MHBA. No, I guess technically.
MBA.
MBA. Yeah.
Wow. And we haven't even told our audience what we're even going to talk about.
No.
We've talked about everything but our topic.
Goal setting.
Yeah, we haven't even brought that up.
We haven't even brought it up.
Yep.
So if you remember last episode, we had Alan Rice to talk about goal setting and what that looks like in the really big scheme of things. I mentioned this to Bobbie. She's like, "Oh, that's a hard act to follow," because he's kind of the broad.
He's like the guy.
He's the guy on goal setting.
Wizard of Oz.
So we brought the second best in, and that's Bobbie.
Flattery will get you everywhere.
There you go. But what we are really trying to do this season is kind of talk about a topic and then get the hands-on of what that looks like. We've talked about a lot of stories about agents and how they became successful, but now we want to say, okay, now what are those steps and what in all the topics? And this topic is goal setting, and so we really wanted to bring in a seasoned agent, an agent who is successful, and I think an agent that has systems in place. And so that was you. So thank you for being willing to jump in here.
Well, and I hope that I can shed some light on this topic.
Yeah. So before we dive into goal setting, can you give our audience a little 2-minute clip on who you are and why you got into real estate, why you got into the best industry there is, and just a little bit of that so we can have some context.
Sure, absolutely. So I am going into my 8th year as a full-time realtor. It is a second career for me, as I think that is true for a lot of people. Yeah. I don't know a whole lot of high school students who get up in the morning and think, gosh darn it, I want to be a realtor. And if only they would, because that's one of the things that I think about if I had only started, 20 years ago.
Yep.
But you can't change that.
No.
So in any event, about 8.5 years ago, I kind of came to this epiphany. I had 4 teenage girls at home, and I think back on that. I was able to survive that. Maybe that's why I'm successful at real estate. Yeah. And I had an aging mom who needed me quite a bit, and I had a daughter who was going through a very rough relationship with her then husband, and she had a 6-month-old. And so I was the go-to babysitter, and I just didn't have time. I just was torn in all kinds of different directions, and I got to thinking, what can I do that would provide me some opportunity to make some money? I was doing social work at the time, so there wasn't a high bar. It really wasn't a high bar at all. But the real need was for me to command my own schedule. So I thought, why not real estate? Because, if I sold a few houses, I could work when I wanted to or when I needed to. And so I interviewed here at Keller Williams. I was really attracted to Keller Williams because of the professional development was such a big, such a big focus. And for me, that was important. And here I am.
There we are.
Yes.
8 years ago. Wow. I remember, I think, right when you kind of got into it. I think it was at a Capital Region Board event.
That was one of the
second time.
Right, that was one of the first. Probably within the first few months of my illustrious career. So
and I remember you were already getting you were already in the business. You jumped in pretty quickly.
I jumped in with both feet, and because of the career that I had previously, I was pretty well known in New Hampshire for early childhood education, and I was kind of like the go-to person in the state. So I had a huge net, and one of the things that I figured out is people trusted me with their children. They're likely to trust me with transactions.
Yeah.
So, or helping them find a new house or sell their house. And one of the things that I did before I left that career was to notify and talk to everybody I knew and just let them know what I was doing. So in the first 6 months, I had 7 transactions. During my 6th month, I had 4 transactions.
Wow.
I think that might be a record from whom we've interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
Not entertained. We've entertained them
Yes.
too.
We hope we have.
I haven't heard that story. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It's usually the second half of the year that everything happens.
Yeah, no, it was in the first 6 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, did you, when you were, so as far as goal setting goes, when you started in real estate, did you have sort of a predetermined goal set in mind for either, you know, what you were looking to earn, how many units you wanted to close, like, or were you just kind of, I'm just going to do this and then start figuring out kind of like what's
and full
possible?
disclosure, no. I really didn't.
You and everybody else.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. You know, I don't think anybody jumps into this, and you know, and if they do, I don't think they understand what it takes to get to that place.
Yeah.
What I do remember is sitting with Bill Weidecker, because of the transactions and the production that I had. Bill became my coach very quickly, and I remember him sitting with me and mapping out for me what I had to do to sell, basically to earn $100,000 in GCI.
Which is every realtor's goal, first year goal.
And I thought, and I just laughed.
No, yeah, you shouldn't have.
I did. I thought that's hilarious. You know, I'm really in it to, you know, to make 40 grand a year. You know, if I can bring home 40 grand a year and be able to, you know, take care of my family the way that they needed, and, you know, I would be happy with that. I'm also very competitive with myself. So that kind of played into my success. And, you know, I saw that I could do it and figured out what I needed to do. And I did it. So over the course of time, yes, now I absolutely do take time to reflect and to set those goals. In the beginning, no, not at all.
Well, I think we don't know what we're capable of. And so many of us are coming from such different worlds of this is how much you make, this is how much you put in, boom, boom, boom. We've never had to run our own business or comprehend what that involves. So the gift of you having someone, and I think that's probably the first thing you need to realize is when you want to have goals, when you want to grow, you need to have people there to help guide you because you had no idea. You're not just a master goal setter, planner.
Plus, it's new metrics, right? Like you get into a new industry, like what's GCI, what's never like,
right,
like
and so
the language of it.
You know, the other thing is, I came from in my career, I had my own businesses. I ran childcare programs, and so I knew those metrics. I knew those down pat, like how many kids that I had to, you know, have in a classroom versus, you know, what the staff was going to cost and, you know, what my other, you know, my fixed costs were. So I knew that all day, every day. This is a whole different ball of wax.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and you didn't have people to depend on, and it's just you, me, myself, and I, right?
Exactly.
So now that you've kind of gotten a little seasoned, when you're thinking about the next coming year, so let's just say you're 8 years in now, and I do know you had a really good year. Coming off a not so really good year.
Yes.
So we can talk about that. When you're looking at your 2026 this year, what are you doing to do that and goal set? Or are you just winging it still?
No, I'm not. I'm not winging it at all. And so what I do is I spend some time looking back at the previous year. And one of the tools that I've been using, and we talked about this morning, is one of the Mel Robbins tools is to look back on your photographs for the year.
Amazing.
Yeah. I do that almost every night. Like I look back at like where I was the year prior.
Oh, you
at
mean
night.
like you're looking at the year before? I thought you meant from that day, and I was like, wow,
That's
Andrew,
a-
you
I was
take
gonna
a lot
say,
of
that's
photos.
a lot.
I do take a lot of photos.
You are
yeah.
a photographer, but wow, for you to be able to chronicleize your whole
Well,
day.
and not only that, that's discipline. You know?
That's right.
So you're looking back at the year before. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm looking back at the year before, and again, that's a great tool to just
wonderful.
kind of jog your memory of what you were doing, what was important, what did you find important enough to take a picture of.
Yes.
Right, exactly. And the other thing that I've been doing over the past 5 years is I do a vision board, and I can tell you. Again, in all honesty, when I first started, learning about vision boards and, would go to classes about vision boards, I thought they were silly. I thought there's absolutely no way that there's any magic in them.
True.
Yeah.
Something. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, something else to do. And, so I think probably the first year I made one, it was, with the magazines, and I cut the magazine pictures out. And it really didn't mean much to me. So the year after that, I made up my own vision board with my own photographs from my phone. And so this is way before Mel Robbins and, that whole tool. And so I actually, because I'm kind of a neat freak, I actually have it printed out on a canvas.
Nice. Yeah.
And I hang it in my office. So every year, at the end of the year, I, kind of review that, see where I was successful, and then if I didn't have, the opportunity to reach the goals that I had put on the vision board, then I really kind of reflect on why didn't I? What got in the way? And a lot of times it's because it wasn't important, or it wasn't as important as I thought it was a year ago.
Yeah.
And the other thing is what did I do or not do to prevent me from getting there? And one of the things that we always talk about in in this field is goals have to be dynamic. They can't, in order for them to be meaningful and
Real.
be able to reach them, they've got to be they've got to be changing all the time, because you're not the same person January 1 that you are December 31st. That's a long time.
Yeah. Especially if you are pursuing becoming a better person,
Exactly.
or a better version of yourself, which ultimately should be always our goal.
Exactly.
You should be a different person.
You should be, right.
Today than you were a year ago.
Right, exactly. And things change in the course of the year.
Yeah.
So for example, one of the things that was never on my vision board was to get my broker's license. And then
Mary Hope showed up.
And then Mary Hope called, mid-year and said, have you thought about doing that? And my response was, well, yeah, but what would I do with it?
Yeah.
And then, there was a need, for one of the satellite offices to have a managing broker. So I did that.
Yeah.
So, when I sit down and I kind of review everything and try to figure out, okay, what's important? What do I want to do? And I have different categories that I look at, so I look at, relationships, I look at financial health, I look at, I spend a lot of time, more so than I ever did in my life, on physical health.
Yeah.
Because I've learned, through time and aging, that none of it's going to mean anything.
Yes.
If I, can't walk, or if I'm sick,
Well,
or if I'm dead.
Yeah, that reminds me.
Definitely that one. Yeah.
Definitely not gonna, not gonna help.
And I don't know if this is where you got it from, but it reminds me of The Circle from the One Thing book, where it has all the parts
different
of your life.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I think so many times when we talk about goal setting in real estate, we're like, okay, what do you want to be for units and GCI?
Yeah. That's to me, that's secondary.
I would say that has to be after you figure out the whys, the whys of everything else, right? Because kind of like you said, when I haven't reached my goal, it's probably because it didn't mean enough to me. So tell me more about that. Like, when you say that, what does that mean?
So in the beginning, I would always put on the vision board, what do I want my GCI to be? How many units do I want to sell? And I never hit it. I never hit it. So I started to think, that's probably not important to me. What is important to me? So I started putting things like, the different trips that I take with my family, spending time.
You're good at that.
I'm very good at that. And that to me is one of the main reasons that I do what I do.
Yeah.
And, you know, just looking at why do I need to make any money? You know, why is it important to make that
Because money
money?
is, we talked about this, I think, with Alan. Money for the sake of money really has no,
It has no meaning.
even for people who are driven by money,
Yeah,
it's for what money can
can do.
Yeah. It's a conduit or a vessel for other.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
it. That's it. And, you know, and again, I disclosed that I was making 40 grand a year. And as long as I covered that, I mean, obviously, you know, my bills are covered.
Well, that's good. You had a higher goal than I did. I had 1 or 2 deals a year. Very part-time was my goal the first year.
Yeah,
It's interesting.
So, and again, that was really just the goal, but I was able to do that really in 1 month with the 4 closings. And, you know, again, I'm not the type of person to just sit back and say, well, I've already reached my goal. I always want to challenge myself to see, you know, how far I can go. And then, you know, the more I was able to, you know, be successful, then the more I wanted it. And again, it has nothing to do with the money. It has everything to do with the power that money gives me and the options that money gives me. And if you had told me 10 years ago that I would have been in the position financially that I am now, again, I would have laughed at you like I did at Bill
Yeah.
and say, yeah, that's never going to happen.
Were there goals that you set for yourself that were sort of recurring goals each year? Like something that like every year you knew this was something you wanted to have happen for
Every
you
year.
or in your life?
Yeah, definitely every year I have something on my vision board about taking my family someplace. So, for example,
And you have a big family.
and I take everybody, and, you know, one of the things that I say is I pay for everybody because I don't want anybody to have an excuse not to come. So if I'm paying the bill, then you've got to join us. So in February we're going to Costa Rica. So.
Nice.
So that's important, and to be able to do that and just be able to pick places and say, you know, let's go and cover the tab.
And why is that important to you?
That's important to me, and I say kind of tongue-in-cheek that when I'm gone, the only thing my family is going to have, the only thing my kids are going to have is the memories. And I want to be able to make sure that they're propped up with those. The other thing that's kind of an unintended consequence that I didn't realize would happen, and it's so incredibly powerful, is I have 3 kids, and their age range is 40, 30, and 22. When the 22-year-old was born, the 40-year-old was not even in the house. So they never lived together. They never cohabitated together. And so...
And you're forcing that upon them now.
And I'm forcing that upon them now. Yes.
I love it. No,
Whether they
yeah.
like it or not. And the relationship that my 3 kids have is absolutely mind-blowing compared to most siblings, and the fact that, like I said, the younger one and the older one never lived together. So, you know, I know, like, even behind the scenes, if you know, one of the kids needs something, they'll call the other sibling, and the other sibling will be there helping them. And I think a lot of that has come from us spending time together and making it, you know, a priority that we're together. And again, that would never have been possible without, you know, me having the means to do that.
Well, it's interesting. So, full disclosure, Bobbie has not listened to Alan's podcast because it hasn't come out yet.
I have not.
Which is pretty cool. So she hasn't heard what we said. But a lot of what we talked about is, of course, it has to come from a big why. But a why is not a what. And so our brains can't, and correct me if I'm wrong, but a why is not tangible.
Right.
Yeah, it's
And
hard for us to verbalize.
And our
actually.
brains can't verbalize it or feel it. So we need to know the what, how, and why. And that I guess it's kind of clicking for me for the first time about why a vision board is so important, because that puts a what, how, and why, or what, where, when, all of that, to the why.
And it's also a visual representation.
It's the
of why,
visual,
which
'cause
is
it's a
much
visual-
better than a lingual. You know,
Exactly.
approach to the
And
why,
it's, you know, I put it where it's in my face all day, every day. You know, I put it right next to my computer. So I'm looking at it all the time. You know, so whether I'm consciously looking at it and kind of internalizing it, really doesn't matter because it's, it's
Subconsciously
subliminal.
imprinting.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, exactly.
So, like I mentioned before, I do know that this year has been, this past year, 2025, was a really good year for you. Mm-hmm. Yet 2024 was rough.
Yeah, 2024
Tell me more
was
about that, because I think some people feel like I just have to get to that point and then I can have smooth sailing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one of the things that I do also is I always look at my numbers, and I am pretty consistent. Over the course of the years that I've been doing this, and I have a production that stayed pretty static.
Right.
Last year, for whatever reason, I couldn't get out of my own way. The first quarter, I think I had maybe 2 closings, and they were, mobile homes.
This is 2025?
24.
24. So yeah, we're talking.
Okay. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, the year before. And so I think if it had happened earlier in my career, I would probably have done some soul searching and thought, well, maybe it's, maybe I'm not good at this. And maybe it's time to look for another gig. And I didn't do that. I just doubled down on what I know I needed to do. And so one of the things that I think is so important is, goal setting is important. However, it's really the activities.
Ta-da!
Yeah, it's
Right.
the activities.
Yeah.
And I also go as far as the activities and what resources do I need?
Do you plan out, I mean, obviously like the macro level of goal setting, right? Sort of like the big achievements you want to do in a year, the trips and everything. But do you sort of set like micro goals for yourself of like, okay, this month I need to make X number of calls or, whatever as well?
Yeah, so when things were not going according to plan in 2024, I just sunk my teeth into the 411. So the 411 really kind of spelling out what do I want to accomplish in a year, in a month, and then weekly. So
That's
I
amazing.
had a chart of activities that were business related, but I also had on that chart activities that were personal.
Yeah.
So, for example, getting outside 15 minutes a day, no matter what the weather, or, walking for a half an hour, or, just, spending time with my husband, whatever it was, because I think that's so important.
Yes.
We focus so much on the business goals. And again, if your life is not,
Yeah.
we don't want to say balanced, but, if you're cutting short
Yeah.
the really important
If you're not
reasons why
filling, if you're not filling up your life with the things
Right.
that matter, right?
yeah, I mean, any of us can make, $100 million, in a lifetime, but what are we going to do with it?
Yeah.
If you're by yourself, it doesn't matter. Or at least it doesn't for me.
No.
So every day I would pull that out from under my computer. I needed to talk to, I think it was like 100 people a week. I needed, to go on so many appointments a week. I need to read an hour for the week. So I was really very intentional.
Yeah.
And so I did it, and I did it, and I did it, and guess what? I doubled my production this year.
Doubled it.
Shocker!
Yeah. But
It's related. It's 100% related.
and yet we overthink things. We overcomplicate things.
And underestimate our
And we
abilities.
underestimate what
Yeah.
we can do. But I think I think this is where we sometimes get caught up into the business planning and goal setting and even the vision boards, and yet not doing the work.
Not doing the
That
work,
ca-
right?
It is worth. It's actually probably puts us backwards if we're putting all this beautiful stuff on paper and then not being true to it.
Well, and I think also when things, when the wheels start to fall off the bus, or things go sideways, we have a tendency to look for magic pills or magic bullets, or maybe I need to invest in this or invest in that, or try this or try that. And one of the opportunities that I've had is to work with mentees and people coming into the business. And one of the things that I find a lot of them kind of focus on is the things that should be so easy, like talking to the people they're more concerned about, how do I find people that I don't know, or how do I, talk to people about buying or selling
How
their
do I do
houses.
flyers?
Just talk to people, So again, it's simple. You just have to break it down and make sure that you do it.
But it's not easy.
It's not easy.
Well, when you said, I love, you're like, I just did what I needed to do, 100 contacts a week. That's bold, literally. That's what in bold, our training, our boot camp. You put yourself back in boot camp.
Right.
You said, okay, I got myself off track. Now I have to do that. So many people have a hard time doing that for themselves, and they need someone else to do that.
Right.
But if you have enough structure in place, you knew you had tools. You pulled out the 411. You pulled out the thing. You've done bold before.
I have.
think we've been
couple
on the
times.
team together,
Yeah.
I think. You knew what activity. You just weren't doing it.
Right.
And it was important enough. Because you weren't able to do certain things in 2024 that you were able to do in 2025.
Right. And I didn't want, the steady decline.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm so much more capable than that.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I kept saying to myself, and I know that this is a mantra, that we, talk about as well, is I kept saying to myself, I'm not doing anybody any favors by playing small. And that was like one of the, kind of the affirmations that I would say to myself all the time is I'm not doing anybody any favors by playing small. And I would always tell myself, well, I don't really need to make that kind of money.
No, because you hadn't even planned to make 100,000.
Right.
You were planning 40 grand.
Exactly. So imagine, going from 40 grand to 250.
Right. And that's not boasting. That's just the reality of what
right.
when you do the work.
Exactly. Right. When you put your nose to the grindstone and just do it.
Yeah. So now that we're kind of coming to the end of the podcast already, we could talk forever.
I know.
What would what would you say to someone who has never really done goal setting? What would be probably the most important thing that you would say they should be aware of or do today? Right, the beginning of the year. What should they do so that at the end of the year? And I had asked this to our Agent Leadership Council before the beginning of the year, saying, what needs to happen by the end of the year to call it successful? What would you suggest? What would be that first thing to do right now if I've never done that before?
I would say if you've never done that before, pick one thing. Just find one thing that you're going to focus on, because I think that's what happens. People get overwhelmed. And if that one thing is, and I think the other part to that is not even making it necessarily the goal of, I'm going to sell 10 houses or I'm going to make, 100 grand or whatever. I think that what they have to focus on is what activity am I going to do and do it consistently all the time. And that's it. Whether that's talking to 10 people a day. And again, it doesn't have to be talking to 10 people about selling their house. Just talk to them about who they are, what they're doing, what's important. And building those relationships.
Relationships.
That's where it's at.
Well, and that's what we were talking today. There's relationships and lessons. Lessons are usually our mistakes. That's where we get the most lessons.
That's where.
But if you can build relationships, everything else. If you truly build relationships, everything else is easier or unnecessary. Which is back to the one thing. I think you've studied the one thing as much as I have too. No, because it really is. We do overcomplicate it as agents, especially.
Yeah, so I do. I think that just picking just one thing, and because I think then you have more of the likelihood that you're going to be successful at that.
Yes.
Than if you're trying 6 or 7 different things.
Yeah.
So that's what I do with my mentees is just pick one thing and do it.
Well,
I'm excited.
I was going to say those are wise words for from both Alan and you now to sort of compound, the notion of like, if you want to be successful at something, do that one something, know, right? And just focose on it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited for 2026
and
for you, and then also for our audience, because if we can start grasping this and really, and it doesn't have to be the beginning of the year, but I think it does automatically give us a time to start something new.
It's just kind of an Etch-a-Sketch,
Yeah.
You just erase it, and January 1 is new. Yep.
And you can erase it again in March 1 if you need to, and start over.
Exactly.
Right?
Well, that's why even back to the 411, which is a 1 year goal, 1 month goal, and then 4 weeks. Every month you get to change that month goal because you can look back and see it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, and you could change your 1 year goal because, like you said, things change.
Things change.
It's okay.
Right.
Yet if you do not know your why of why you're doing it, you can never put that, there's no clarity in that. And you're just throwing that on there because you feel obliged to.
Right.
Or someone else has told you that you should be making $100,000 in this job. Some people should only be making $40,000 because that's where they are in life.
Right.
And there's people who are only making $40,000 who are capable of making $400,000 easily if they took the time and believed in the process and systems. There are systems that will just get us there faster.
Mm-hmm.
There are.
Yeah, you don't need to recreate the wheel.
No.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Just study the wheel. Yeah.
And do
Know where the wheel is.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ride the wheel. Just keep going with the wheel.
Just keep on going with the wheel.
Wheelie, come on, guys.
That
There you
that
go.
was a dad joke.
I was gonna say that was inner
Yeah.
dad core coming out right there. Yeah.
He's been with his kids too long.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, thank you for coming on, Bobbie.
Thank
You
you
come back
again for
again
inviting me.
someday for another glorious topic to
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank
Well,
you so much.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
You're very
you. And thank
welcome.
you for everybody for listening to or watching season 2, episode 2 on either YouTube, Spotify, and Apple iTunes, because that's new this year. We're going to get that going. So, if you have questions, comments, concerns, leave a like, hit a subscribe, hit follow, share this, reach out to us if there's something you want to hear about, and we'll see you on the next episode.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Behind the Sign, Real Stories from Real Estate.
We hope you enjoyed today's conversation and gained a little insight into the world behind those for sale signs.
Today's episode was brought to you by Keller Williams Realty Metropolitan, proudly serving New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine, and Massachusetts. A special thank you to our agents, leadership, and partners at KW Metro for their continued support.
And thanks to you, our amazing listeners and viewers. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Leave us a review or comment. We love hearing your feedback, and it helps more people discover the show.
And if you have a real estate story you'd like to share or a question you want answered on a future episode, reach out to us at metro.kw.com or find us on Instagram, handle at KWMetroNH.
Until next time, we'll see you
Behind the Sign.